Day number 9 of Chicago Bears training camp is in the books, and we have a lot of stuff to discuss. What's going on, guys? I'm back with another Chicago Bears training camp update video, which I'll be giving you guys every single day this year during training camp. So if you guys want the latest updates on what's happening with the Chicago Bears in training camp this year, definitely be sure to subscribe to my channel. I could have sworn the Bears were off today from practice, like when I checked the schedule, but I hopped on Twitter and saw people discussing practice. So I was like, oh shit, they're actually practicing today. It was a closed practice, closed to the public, but open to the media. So only media members could be at this practice, and they can't give a live tweet-by-tweet reaction or record video what's happening there. So not too many updates to discuss, but still a decent amount to make a video on. And the first thing I want to talk about, guys, is that there were a lot of injuries in today's practice, okay? Guys getting injured during practice and guys that sat out of practice due to previous injuries. So according to Larry Myers, so he talked about how Byron Pringle actually suffered a quad injury and he's going to be out for a while due to that quad injury. So Byron Pringle, guys, the signing that we had from the Kansas City Chiefs, one of the only, I would say splashes that we made a receiver this year, he's going to be out for a few weeks due to a quad injury he suffered today in practice, which really does suck, but it's seeming like he's going to be ready for week 1, and it's only going to be like a couple week type of injury. So not ideal, because you want to get reps with Justin Fields, you want to get practice with Justin Fields because you're going to be a big part of this offense, but it's hardly the end of the world, I would say. So Pringle got injured. Robert Quinn was excused from practice today. I have no idea why, it doesn't say. And then Kyler Gordon and Velus Jones sat out practice with day-to-day undisclosed injuries, which I don't know why this regime is being so secretive with injuries. I guess they're saying that's going to be like a competitive advantage to not reveal injuries, but guys, it's training camp. Like, you're not going to gain much of an advantage from not disclosing injuries. But regardless, I don't care too much about this as long as it's not like a major injury. Who cares, okay? You don't have to know the exact details of every single thing that happens, as long as they return to practice relatively soon, hopefully next week. So those guys were out. Braxton Jones, the rookie, also missed a good portion of practice today. He started practice, but then went down with some type of minor injury. Eberflus said it was not a big injury, so it's probably going to be back next week. But then Sean Coleman took his reps at left tackle today, so he got injured. Wide receiver N'Keal Harry also got injured. He had some type of apparent injury today, which he had to be helped off the field by teammates and trainers with. So that's not good. Obviously, not totally sure what exactly happened. We'll get more details probably tomorrow, and hopefully it's not going to be out for too long, because he needs this training camp more than I would say most players even on the roster, right? Because N'Keal Harry has not made too many plays so far in camp, and he's going to be fighting for a roster spot, guys. I mean, I know he was a former first-round pick, but he's not guaranteed anything with the Chicago Bears. We only gave up a 7th-round pick to get him. There's no major investment the Chicago Bears made in N'Keal Harry, so he has to return back fast, and hopefully this injury does not keep him out for that long. But those are all the injuries suffered today. Obviously, a pretty big list, which is not ideal. You want your guys to be healthy in camp, practicing, getting the reps in so they can be ready for the regular season. But I would also not freak out about this, because I saw some people online talking about, is Eberflus being too intense now with his practices? Like, are these intense practices that are more intense than previous years, are they leading to more injuries for our players? But I don't think that's the case at all, guys, because if you go around the NFL, basically every single team is having injuries like we are. Some are having even more injuries than we are. The Buccaneers lost basically their entire starting offensive line in one practice. They have so many receiver injuries as well. The Packers have so many injuries. The Bears have had injuries in the past under Matt Nagy in training camp as well. So I don't think this can be attributed to Matt Eberflus and his practices. This happens every single year when training camp starts, because you're going from basically doing not much of anything. Obviously you're working out, but you're not doing hard, intense, padded practices hitting each other in the 120-degree heat like you are in July, and that leads to injuries for a lot of players, unfortunately. But hopefully these guys return relatively soon, because we need them back as fast as possible. But going to my next story of the day, guys, a pretty big update on Teven Jenkins. Teven Jenkins has returned to practice. Okay, today he was out there on the practice field. According to Brad Biggs, he said that Teven Jenkins is back on the practice field this morning for the first time since the first day of camp, and the Bears are in full pads. Now, Teven Jenkins, during practice today, he didn't really do much. He was doing mainly individual drills, because Matt Eberflus said that they're going to have a ramp-up period, obviously, with him, because he's missed so much practice now. So he's not going to go directly from not doing anything to being in the highly competitive team drills. So maybe next week he'll be in the team drills, but right now he's only doing individual drills. But still, that is a really good sign, okay, that he's actually on the football field, even though he's only in individual drills, not team drills. It still beats not being on the football field at all, and it makes you think that he might have a chance to be on the Chicago Bears roster now long term, even though Ian Rappaport reported that the Chicago Bears were taking trade calls on him. It makes you think that maybe they changed their mind, or maybe that was false, or maybe whatever happened is done with, okay? Today in the press conference, so Teven Jenkins had a presser today. He talked with the media, answered some questions, and it wasn't really like the most energetic press conference. Like, Teven Jenkins definitely seemed like he didn't want to be there, but I don't blame him, because a lot of the media has reported a lot of stuff in the last week that has questioned Teven Jenkins' credibility, his character, his willingness to want to play football for the Chicago Bears. And if you are Teven Jenkins, you will get offended by that stuff. I mean, I would be offended if people questioned my credibility or my character and reported that I was lazy and immature, because that's what a lot of people have been saying about Teven Jenkins in the last week plus. Okay, it's been a lot of nasty comments towards him, even from the Bears fan base, which really disappointed me to see, because this guy was so happy when he first got drafted by the Chicago Bears. Our entire fan base was so happy to see Teven Jenkins drafted by the Bears. He interacted so much with their fan base early on. He was a fan favorite in his press conferences, in his interviews last year. And then when the injury happened, I feel like a lot of people just completely turned on him, even though he came back from the injury and he still has a lot of potential going forward, guys. I mean, he's still a year 2 player, still super young and still super talented as well. He dominated at the college football level, showed us so much in college football that us Bears fans have been asking for. And I think it's still going to be, shown in the NFL too, with more playing time, with more practice. I think it's going to be a fine tackle in the NFL eventually, but sucked to see so much backlash against him recently. But I'm happy that he's clearing his name, and hopefully a lot of those reports were BS. Today in his press conference, he said that there's no beef between him and the coaching staff. That's why he pushed back on social media. So seems like the Bears and Teven Jenkins are sticking with the story that he was injured over the past week plus now. And a lot of Bears fans won't believe that. I myself, I wish they'd revealed what the injury was so we could shut down these rumors completely for good, but they're not revealing what the injury was. Today in his presser, Teven Jenkins didn't explicitly say what his injury was, so they're still not shutting down these rumors completely. But even if they were true, even if he did have some type of disagreement with his coaching staff, who cares? Okay, a lot of players have disagreements with their coaching staffs, and it's not the end of the world, okay? As long as he's still on the Bears roster, still fighting for a roster spot, I don't care about any clash that he had with this coach, okay, as long as it's resolved going forward. He also said that I want to be here in Chicago, so I'm playing wherever they want me to play. That's pretty interesting, because he did take some snaps at guard earlier on in OTA. So we'll see if the coaching staff wants to make him a guard, or if he's still going to be a tackle. Wherever he can play, I feel like he'd be a big benefit to the Chicago Bears offensive line. He has so much talent, so much raw power in him that could be a boost, guys, wherever. He also later said that he estimates he's at about 90% full health, and that he felt good during today's practice, didn't experience any discomfort. He said he should be at 100% in a couple days. So he's saying that he still is injured somewhat. He's feeling a lot better now. I know that a lot of Bears fans will not believe this, because they didn't explicitly reveal what type of injury he had, which I really wish they said what type of injury he had so we could let go of this for good. But me personally, I could care less about this story at this point, okay? As long as he's still on the Bears roster, still fighting for a starting spot, nothing that happened in the past is going to matter going forward. And I really do hope he wins the starting job, because he has way too much talent to just waste it by trading him for like a 5th round pick, okay? That would not be good for the Chicago Bears. So I really hope we don't trade him going forward. I really hope he does end up earning a starting spot, because he's going to prove a lot of people wrong if he does end up starting for the Chicago Bears. But that is the Teven Jenkins update. Let's talk about what happened in practice today then. And there weren't too many updates, obviously, because it was close to the public and media members can't live tweet what happens. But I did find that Justin Fields, especially, and the offense had a pretty good day of practice, okay? According to 79th and Howe's podcast, he said that overall, it was a much more efficient practice for the Bears offense. Justin progressed through his reads faster and got the ball out quicker. Scrambled for smart yards as well. Really good day for Tajay Sharp. He caught some tough passes in O versus D, as well as the 7-on-7. Then another media member from NBC Sports Chicago, Josh Schrock, he wrote a pretty nice article. I'll link it down below where you guys can read more in detail about individual plays and the results of them in practice. But going over some of the highlights of his articles. So he said that despite all the missing pieces, Fields was able to operate the Bears offense at a high rate. In their first move the ball session, the Bears offense started at midfield. Fields opened the drill by hitting tight end Cole Kmet for a 12-yard gain. He found Equanimeous St. Brown on a slant for a gain of 8 on the next play. Then later on, he says, in a different series, after once again failing to connect with Mooney on first down, the Bears offense had just 17 seconds to get into field goal range. Fields got good protection in the pocket and delivered a strike to Tajay Sharp for a gain of 9 to the 38. Fields hurried to the line and was able to spike the ball with 1.5 seconds left to bring out Cairo Santos for the field goal. And I'm assuming he made that field goal. He also said the offense succeeding in the move-it period despite being down 4 receivers and 3 offensive linemen is a positive sign for Justin Fields' development. If you look at what Matt Eberflus said in today's press conference, he said that I thought Justin Fields was good today. Operated the offense good. The ball was out on time. Justin is growing every single day. What's great about a second-year quarterback in learning a new offense is that you watch him grow and you see him mature in the position. And man, that's good to see. And the answers that he has in the meetings with understanding what he's doing when he's delivering the ball, that's exciting. It really is. So, a lot of positive updates, guys, on Justin Fields. Even being down so many players on the offense, he put together a very efficient and impressive performance for the Chicago Bears offense, which is a really good sign for Justin Fields and his development at this stage. Okay, obviously, he still has a lot to improve on. The offense is nowhere near its best at this stage, but the fact that he is getting the ball out quicker, okay, with this new and improved mechanics, this new release, which looks a lot sharper than it did last year in camp. The fact that he's going through his reads a lot faster, the fact that even missing guys, he's still getting the offense to be successful. Really good sign, guys, for offense this year. Again, I'm not expecting the Bears offense to be lighting it up this year because we don't have proven playmakers. We don't have a proven offensive line, but it still can be a lot better than last year with the proper scheming and with Justin Fields taking steps upward in his development like he did today. So good to hear that, guys, by the Chicago Bears offense, because earlier on in camp, we were hearing a lot of reports about the defense dominating. As of late, the Bears offense has put together, a series now of pretty good performances. So those are all the updates I have from today's practice. Again, not too much because there weren't too many reports, but you can see the offense definitely did better than the Chicago Bears defense. And then finally, I want to end the video by talking about 2 signings the Bears made yesterday, 2 linebackers. So the Bears signed DeMarquise Gates, who was the top LB in the USFL this spring. So if you guys remember, the USFL, it's a new football league, a new spring league, and DeMarquise Gates was one of the best linebackers in that league. He had 68 total tackles, 6.5 sacks, and 1 interception with the Birmingham Stallions, who also won the USFL championship, whatever it's called. So obviously, he was going up against lesser competition in the USFL. Like, obviously, this is a spring league. It's composed of mainly practice squad NFL guys. So it remains to be seen if he'll do anything at the NFL level, but it's a good opportunity for a hungry guy, okay? If he played in the USFL, clearly he wants to continue his football career. Clearly he is hungry for another opportunity, and hopefully he takes advantage of it with the Chicago Bears. The Bears also signed former Jets and Raiders linebacker Javin White. He had a lot of interest around the NFL before the Bears signed him, and he was a former UNLV standout in college. He hasn't done much of anything so far in the NFL, but hopefully another guy that can take advantage of this opportunity, because the Bears are still pretty thin at linebacker. Obviously, Roquan Smith has not practiced at all due to his contract dispute that hopefully should be getting resolved sometime soon, because it's been a while now without having Roquan on the football field. The first preseason game is in a week now, so you would hope that Roquan returns relatively soon within the next few weeks. But again, besides Roquan, we don't have too much proven guys at linebacker. We have Nicholas Moreau, we have Jack Sanborn, the UDFA, we have, Matthew Adams, but a lot of unproven players there. So it's good to add more talent at linebacker to compete for these spots, so you have, guys getting pushed to their absolute best. But that's pretty much all the updates I have for you guys today. I'll be back again tomorrow with Sunday practice updates. That is open to the public, so I'm sure some of you guys will be going there. If you are going, definitely hit me up on Twitter with pictures, videos, whatever you can get. But hope you guys enjoy the video. Leave your comments down below. And as always, bear down.